Hey, what is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Today, Jacob and I are going to be heading out to a farm field in Mendon, Michigan. I just want to give you a brief history of the town and the reason why we're going out to this specific field. The town of Mendon was not always called Mendon, of course. One of the earliest records show that Francois Mouton arrived in 1824 in the town that is now Mendon, specifically to establish an Indian trading post. The Native Americans in Mendon at the time would have been the Nottawasepi band of the Potawatomi Indians. And when I was a little girl, I would go out and look for arrowheads in the fields. So while I was looking for arrowheads, I would occasionally in this certain spot, after the tractors had gone through and plowed, I would find little pieces of pottery, but it would only be like one or two every year. And I thought, well, that's kind of weird. Maybe this was a dump way back in the day, because I've found old homestead sites before and it's just littered with pottery, but in this one spot, it would only be like one piece. Then one year, when I walked through looking for arrowheads, I found this right on the surface after they plowed. As you can see, it says, this is a large cent, and it says 1/8, and what I thought was a 7, but it's actually just kind of rubbed out 8. But it can't be a 7 because of when they actually made these coins. They weren't in production in the 1870s. So we believe that would have been 1828, so 1828. So I had found, as a little girl, a spot where there was a home, I assume a home, because of the ornate pottery and the coin. That would have predated a lot of maps that I had seen at the time, so I have no idea who owned it at the time. I'm going to assume, just from the maps that I do have going back from the 1870s to the 1850s, it would have been owned by the Wakemans. So, again, Francis Mouton came to Mendon around 1824. This was 1828. I showed this to Jacob, and he got really excited because he couldn't believe I found that as a surface find. So we went out again later, and here's some of the things we found. So when we went out the first time, of course, we were hoping to find coins, but in actuality, we actually found a bunch of buttons. We found this brass button, really ornate and beautiful. I've cleaned it up a lot. It says rich gold color, COLOR. So I believe that's an American make. We found these two concave little buttons that say rich color, COLOUR. So I believe those are English made. And we found these Hayden's & Co. treble gilt, so triple dipped in gold, civilian buttons. I wasn't able to get a definitive date of make on those. And then we found this little ornate button, but there wasn't really, it's very hard to make out what it says, so we weren't able to find a maker's mark on that one. We also found this big chunk of pottery with a plump lady or a plump little cherub next to a pole. A shoe buckle, I believe. We found that more in the woods than in the field, and also a sleigh bell. So that was just the first time we went out. We didn't have a lot of time before the ground froze, so we're going to head out there again today, and hopefully we find more coins, but I honestly would be happy with more buttons. So I'm going to quit yapping so that we can get going and get to detecting.
What's up, guys? We have permission on a field here in Mendon. We hit this place about 2 years ago, found quite a few old buttons. So we're getting back out here today, seeing if we can find anything cool. So let's see what we can find. Okay, so here we have an 1872 map of Mendon, which is the area in which we're metal detecting this field.
Ringing up in the 90s?
Yeah. So, high 80s to 91. Hey, I found one of these before.
Yeah.
Way out in the edge of this field though, that's kind of an interesting spot for it, huh?
Yeah.
Well, cool. I definitely knew it was something that was worth digging.
So it's something that splices two big wires together?
I believe that's what we determined last time, yeah.
But it's pure brass?
Should be copper.
Should be pure copper?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah,
cool.
Get a close up?
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh, maybe it's because it was an old cow farm right here?
Yeah, it must be.
Maybe it was wired up? Didn't even really need to dig very deep. It was a one of those Winchester New Black, the cap to a shotgun shell.
I'm looking for the hook.
Oh.
There we go. This was reading, I should probably rescan that just to be sure. I was getting like an 84, so I was thinking I might have had a coin. So.
Knock it on there, see if you can get the dirt out of the... You could probably still use that.
Yeah, probably.
Little hook
there
latch.
Yeah. Kind of cool. You mind hanging on to that really quick? I'm gonna just run the detector over this hole.
Looks like it's hand forged. Alright, here we go. What I'm talking about, like fancy pottery. This is what I'm talking about. Really deep colors, pretty ornate design on there.
Jumpy signal in the mid 70s. And I think I got it out of the hole here. But I've been noticing with a lot of these finds, and I don't know if it's because of how dry the ground is or what, but when I get these targets out, they read differently out of the ground than they did in the ground.
Must be really small. Oh, it's a
Little, is that a sinker?
22.
Oh yeah, it's a little bullet.
How old do you think that is?
I don't know. Looks like it's a hollow point. Cool.
Okay. So we also have a piece of brick. So about a mile that way there's houses, and a little less than a mile there's a house back there, but to my knowledge there's never been known to be a house here. So it would have had to been way, 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 way back, whatever it was out here. Oh, this is sitting right on the surface, so I assume it's a part of a tractor. I don't see any writing on it.
Oh yeah.
Another piece of pottery.
First strong signal all day. Got a real clear signal here in the upper 70s. It's not even that shallow, or not even that deep. It's only about, hey Daisy, it's only a couple inches deep according to the detector. Oh wow.
Is it what I think it is?
I think it might be.
All right.
I think it might be a button. Oh yeah, look at the shank on that bad boy.
Yay.
Oh man.
Oh, it's ornate.
Yeah, it's got some type of something on the front of it. Shank is still there. Cool.
Brass?
It looks like it just off the initial inspection. It looks like it's probably brass. We're in the right spot.
Yeah, I'll clean that up a bit and see what we got. So for me, this one was jumping all around. What numbers are you getting?
It's jumping all around for me too, but
Strong.
yeah, whatever it is, it's a strong signal. Let's pop it up and see what it is. Well,
Here's the one I found earlier. Here's this one. I don't think it's farm equipment because if you look at it, it's got a little flower design. So, very ornate for something you would put in into a...
Might be a part of a sewing machine base?
Maybe a sewing machine
Would it
base.
explain all the buttons?
It would explain the buttons, yeah.
This has got to be another button. Another same exact signals, upper 70s, 78. All right, let's see what we got here. It's made nice and wide around it, that way we don't damage it.
All right.
Okay, we got it here somewhere. Oh wow, is this another button or is this a coin?
It looks like
a button, but it could be a coin.
It's a button, and it's got
shank is missing though.
Shank's missing, yep. But it's got a lot of really good writing on it, so you can read the company and everything. I'll have to get a magnifying glass so you guys can see this later, but let's see, it says, yeah, it should have the company and everything on it. Bowen, yeah, Bowen and Company, Redmond, Turner and Sons, New York. That's really cool. Yeah, it's really ornate. We'll get a magnifying glass so you guys can see it later. The writing's really crisp on that, so that's always something I like to see. Buttery. Oh yeah, there's a little design on that. I was checking out the woods and then I heard the call. What was it ringing up as?
This was ringing up as, it was kind of all over the place. It was jumping around, but 60s, 70s. I'm pretty sure we got another button here. I just popped it out, found it with the pinpointer.
Oh yeah.
Feels like there might be at least a partial shank on the back. I haven't cleaned it off yet.
We've found one, we found some like these before. They're just plain.
Is it just a flat face one?
It's flat plate. Well, it's not flat, it's concave, so it's like a curved in surface.
Those are like some of the really old ones probably, huh?
Maybe. And it's got writing on the back, we'll have to clean that off. But yeah, we've found some like these before in the same spot.
Out here for probably a couple hours now and had a few good finds, so Hannah and I are getting a little bit hungry. We're going to detect our way back up to the vehicles and get some lunch. Okay guys, we got this stuff home, got it somewhat cleaned up, and we're going to go through it a bit. So we had this wire splice here. That was pretty cool. It should be solid copper. Got some writing on the top of it here. It says Kearney 2-0 STR. Then it's got the patent number on it. We got this gate latch, this hook here, possibly hand forged. Few pieces of pottery here, or china. Some old square nails, quite a few of those. Not exactly sure what this was to, but it's like half round and it's got a hole in it. Brass piece, looks like it might have been to a buckle. Brass piece that, or not brass, probably pewter maybe, but this looks like it might have belonged to a piece of silverware. And then over here, this is actually from the last time that we hit this field, and did pretty good that time. I don't think it had been hit with a metal detector. We had a piece of china that looks like it has maybe part of a naked lady on it, part of a broken jingle bell, couple of buckles here, this one being pretty nice. And then that time we ended up with, it looks like 6 buttons. And then this, I'm not sure if this was a button or not, but this doesn't have any writing or anything on it. It's just kind of mostly round with a hole through the center. So it was kind of an interesting find. And then these buttons right over here, which I'm about to turn over to Hannah, are the buttons that we got from this most recent one. And Hannah did an extensive amount of research on all of the buttons that we found, and I'm going to turn over to her and let you guys get a history lesson. So,
Again, we will start off with the coin that launched the expedition, the 1828 large cent. We wanted to figure out if a lot of the buttons were close in age to this, or if it had been dropped by a farmer or a traveler way before these buttons were dropped. So let's start with this first button that Jacob found on the last trip out. The Hammond, Turner & Sons for John Bowen & Co. button. Cleaned it up in the tumbler. This is going to be in Jacob's private collection, so he was okay with it going through the walnut tumbler. It does not have a shank. It reads Hammond, Turner & Sons for John Bowen & Co. The Hammond Button Company was around for a while, but as partners left or died, the names would change, and it would have only been called Hammond, Turner & Sons in the early 1820s, and by 1851, all of these owners had died. So it would have been 1820s and on, and if we can find when John Bowen & Co. was partnering with Hammond, Turner & Sons, we can nail down a more definitive timeline. It's very hard to find information on John Bowen & Co. What I was able to find out is that he was an Englishman and merchant tailor. He would travel from England to America, and he would have partnerships with different companies that sold English goods like gilt buttons, golden buttons, fabrics, and trimmings. If a merchant like John Bowen was buying in bulk from a company like Hammond, Turner & Sons, he could order so many thousands and say, hey, I want you to make a special die for these buttons that says for John Bowen & Co. so that when I sell it to my customers, whether it's on a jacket, a coat, whatever he was selling, it would be on there so people would recognize his name, and they could also just want to buy his buttons and it would have his name on it. So again, if there's any button collectors watching this, please let us know what you have found on John Bowen, because through my research, it was quite hard to find out an actual date of when they partnered. All right, moving on. All right. So these are the ladies' buttons that Jacob found the first time out. This is the one we found last time out. Again, I put it through the walnut tumbler to clean it up a bit. Little simple concave pattern. The spelling is rich couleur for rich color. These would have been a British make. So because of that, these are both English-made buttons, and because of the designs on the back, I'm thinking that these could have possibly been the same maker. I could be wrong. Button collectors out there, correct me if I'm wrong, but that is my belief. Opposed to the rich color spelled O-U-R, we have the rich color spelled L-O-R. I believe, again, that this is an American-made button. There's a little star. I can give you a close-up where you can see it better, but I believe this was an American-made design, and I can't say exactly when it was because I don't know the exact company that made it. Probably the best find that Jacob found is this L.H. and Scoville Extra Rich button. It still has its shank. It's just a plain Jane button, just would have been flat and maybe gilded. This was a giant piece of green because it was so oxidized, so I threw it in the walnut tumbler and we could finally read what it said on there. L.H. and Scoville is a very old American button company, and it's actually still around. So, as I said before, different partnerships would change the name of the company. It began as Abel Porter and Company in 1802. In 1811, the partnership was made up of David Hayden, Frederick Leavenworth, so that would be the L and the H, Leavenworth Hayden, and James and William Scoville. So that would have been in 1811 to 1827 that partnership happened. In 1812, the company would have been given a government contract to make U.S. Army and Navy buttons used in the War of 1812. And let's see, in the 1830s, not 1830s, 1930s, the Scoville Company, no longer L&H, but the Scoville Button Company was responsible for bringing the snap button to the market. So before there were regular buttons, then people were able to put snap buttons on their baby clothes, and it made it a lot easier to change a baby in and out of their outfits. And we still use the snap buttons today. In 2014, the Scoville Company was bought by a Japanese company called Morito Japan, and they're still making buttons. So I thought that was still very, very cool. And I believe they have a factory in Clarksville, Georgia, or at least that's one of their headquarters. But yeah, this, even though it's a plain Jane button, it's probably got the oldest history, and they're still in business. So, you know, got to be doing something right there. But yeah, that's probably the most interesting button. And like I said, that partnership where it would have been LH and Scoville would have been between 1811 and 1827. So again, 1828, and at the very latest, 1827. So this was definitely a homestead from the mid to late 20s to possibly later in the 30s. We also have a couple more buttons to go over. I wasn't able to find out much information on the Haydens & Co. If you are a button collector and you know, please drop a comment and let us know. It's definitely not my area of expertise, and we do want to know. I'm going to assume it's close in time to this button and this coin, late 1820s, maybe 1830s. Someone in one of the forums I went in said it could have been Hiram Hayden, but couldn't give me an exact date of when he was making buttons that looked just like this. This other little button, we weren't able to find any information on it, but it's still really cool. And again, it's probably from around the same time period. Still really cool. Okay, so there you have it. That's about so far what I've learned about the time frame that there may have been a house or cabin on this small area on a cornfield in Mendon, Michigan. We are planning on getting with the St. Joe County Historical Society to try and find out who might have actually owned it. I am going to assume it was a Wakeman because they had been owning that part of land in the 1850s and 1870s, and they were the biggest landowners in the county for a while. So I'm going to say it was probably a Wakeman, but I could be surprised. If you like what we found, if you like what we do, and you want to learn more about what we found when we find out, give us a like and give us a subscribe and follow us for more of our explorations. Thanks.